Hello, and welcome to Aviation and ATC Keep Educating Yourself series. We welcome all the aspirants with passion and zeal to achieve success in your respective goals. Before starting this session on monopulse SSR, we should understand why primary and conventional SSR were beaten up by new era monopulse SSR or Mode S technology. When the classical radar, known as primary radar, was introduced, it appeared like a miracle, as it was the first time that ships and aircraft could be detected far away or at night. After the World War II, it was introduced in air traffic control operations. Primary radar, the non-cooperative system, is a system where the ground-based antenna transmits a radar pulse in the form of electromagnetic wave, then listens for the small amount of return energy that is reflected from an aircraft. The time delay between the transmission of the pulse and the receipt of the reflected return is a measure of the range of the radar. When later on the aerodromes and surrounding airspace became busy, it was then realized that primary radar was not at all an easy tool to use, as primary radar provided only a two-dimensional position of aircraft. No altitude can be detected by such a system. Due to reflections on various aircraft, around positions were detected, but those of the aircraft to receive services has to be identified. In other words, this radar cannot understand who is who. The controller has to tell the difference by an identification method, usually consisting of track deviations. The identification method used were cumbersome and with some possibility of severe errors to happen. Almost half of the observed targets on the screen were not the controlled aircraft, and separation between known unknown traffic was very important, leading to continuous restriction in maneuvers. Apart from aircraft, a number of other reflections caused by interference or hills, obstacles, tower, bridges was cluttering the screen. Intense radio contact with pilot was necessary to verify all related air traffic control elements like altitude, track, speed. Around 1950s, due to similar problems of military aviation to discriminate the known or friendly aircraft from the unknown or enemy ones, an additional type of message was added to the existing basic primary radar information by using another type of equipment. This became known as secondary radar. And although it did not start as a radar system, it finally developed as one because it had to provide means of identification of a target at a specific position. Thus, this new device could provide a two-dimensional position plus the flight level of the aircraft, which corresponds to practically a three-dimensional position. Means of identity by setting a specific signal by the pilot called SSR code and then observed by the controller on the screen. Controllers were extremely happy for this technical achievement as the work was drastically simplified. But it had to be simplified now because all the more the airspace was becoming congested and the old primary radar was showing its limit as an operational tool. Under certain conditions and traffic congestions, the SSR problems started becoming known. Mode A, Aircraft Identification Codes. 4096 different identification codes are available in a Mode A reply. As traffic increased, these are insufficient as a large number of them is reserved by different air traffic control units and for traffic arriving at different times. Ideally, an aircraft would keep the same code from takeoff until landing, even when crossing international boundaries, as it is used at the Air Traffic Control Center to display the aircraft's call sign using a process known as code call sign conversion. Clearly, the same mode alpha code should not be given to two aircraft at the same time, as the controller on the ground could be given the wrong call sign with which to communicate with the aircraft. Garbling. When these aircraft are in close vicinity, that is, close distance or direction, their SSR replies can overlap. The ground decoder is confused, and finally, their information is lost. This is known as garbling. Garbling is a fundamental problem in the design of the classical SSR system, and the situation is made worse by increased traffic. Aircraft are often closely spaced in range and azimuth, but at different heights. Replies from two aircraft will overlap if their range separation is within the equivalent of 20.3 microsecond reply length, that is approximately 1.7 nautical mile, means less than 2 miles apart. Fruit, false, replies, unsynchronized in time. When there are many SSR stations around the aircraft, replies received by other SSR stations that did not ask for these replies were received and calculated as valid ones, resulting in confusion and finally rejection due to errors. This phenomena is known as fruit and results from the fact that an aircraft SSR reply is received not only by the SSR that triggered it, but by all the others around. The unexpected reply thus arriving to these other SSRs in the area results in wrong decoding or inconsistent position measurements, which finally force the computer to reject the SSR information. Monopulse. Without requiring modification of system design, the use of monopulse techniques in the ground receiver can considerably improve the azimuth accuracy, and consequently the effect of synchronous garbling can be greatly reduced. Since fewer replies are needed to ensure decoding and satisfactory position measurement, the technique permits a reduction in PRF, pulse reception frequency, of ground interrogators. Saturation of SSR system due to traffic increase may therefore be postponed. In the conventional SSR, azimuth is measured by sliding window technique, which consists of detecting both the start and end of the sequence of valid replies at the edges of the interrogator main beam and calculating the azimuth as a mean of the interrogator antenna bearing at these two events. Monopulse azimuth measurement is a technique by which the measurement of target azimuth is made on a single pulse within any transponder reply. As we can see, the technique requires two antenna or a split antenna, with each antenna or each section separately fed and separated by a distance of d. The beams are arranged in such a way that their radiation axis is parallel and their centers separated horizontally. We can see this by two dotted lines, and the parallel distance between them is delta L, which will be derived as d sine theta. Theta is the difference of theta is the angle between target direction and antenna bore site. The beams are arranged in such a way that their radiation axis is parallel and their center separated horizontally. Except for target on bore side, there is a difference in path length, delta L. between the target aircraft and two antennas. This gives rise to a phase difference between the two received signals, which is a function of target angle relative to the antenna bore side, which we have already discussed. Monopulse secondary surveillance radar, it helps in resolving garbling and fruit problems using a computer and by transmitting from the radar at a much reduced rate. As a result, garbling and fruit are reduced by about 90%, while directional accuracy is tripled compared to conventional SSR. This technique is known as monopulse secondary surveillance radar. Remember, the improved accuracy of MSSR allows radar separation minima to be reduced by about one half to 3 nautical mile if the aircraft is within 40 nautical mile of the antenna and 5 nautical mile if more than 40 nautical mile from the radar antenna. In next video lecture, we will be discussing mode as take care. Thank you for watching. Please share your views in comment section.